Mom, Dad, I've got 100 marks from today's art class. Whoa, what a gifted young guy you are. Please show me your artwork. During our customary family meal, my kid proudly displayed his artwork. He was very thrilled to show me his exquisite canvas. Look, Mother, it's Daddy, myself, and you. This is our family, a joyful one. Good job, my love. This is really lovely. Yes, you have a wonderful future ahead of you. I looked straight at my husband, Theo, who was absorbed in his phone. I posed a query in an attempt to get his attention. Our son is going to be a famous painter, isn't he, my love? My husband looked up as I flung the question at him, immediately putting down his phone. What, my dear, what did you say? He constantly looking at his phone, which made it obvious to me that he couldn't concentrate on us. Terence would become a well-known painter in the future, I said. Do you concur? He was once again absorbed in his phone and did not reply. I saw the disappointment in my son's eyes as he murmured to me, I really didn't want my son to experience this. Dad has a lot of work ahead of him. He is usually busy because of this. Let's wait for him to be done, and I have no doubt that this weekend he will take you somewhere amazing. My son's face lighted up as soon as I whispered those words. He turned to face his father. Wow, Dad, many thanks for that. I'm really excited about the weekend. You are the greatest. Terence bellowed with enthusiasm. Theo didn't seem to understand why his son had praised him. As the supper went on, Terence talked a lot and Theo paid less attention. We kept eating until Theo finally paid attention because of something my kids said. My art instructor advised me to participate in the school's art exhibition. You do know her, Father, Miss Clark. She was present at the most recent homeroom meeting. Yes, I guess. That's excellent to hear, though. Miss Clark will be an excellent instructor, I'm sure. What gathering? Is there a PTA meeting that I am unaware of? Well, my dear, it was a pressing matter. Miss Clark couldn't connect with you when you were at your mother's place, so she took me instead. I overlooked telling you. Ah, I see. I'm happy you covered for me. I saw nervousness in my husband's behavior. Terence discussed the meeting, and he kept glancing at me, shakily. I couldn't figure it out. Miss Clark could have easily contacted me via my phone. Everyone is aware of my involvement with Terence. Is something happening? My spouse was sleeping later that night, and I had a strong feeling he was keeping something from me. His inattentiveness and unwavering concentration on his phone were remarkably unusual for him. My son's inquiry on the encounter with Miss Clark came back to me. Everything appeared dubious. Theo's constant workload prevents him from attending school meetings on a regular basis. Despite this, my spouse kept the school visit a secret from me. But that in mind, I stole my husband's phone without letting him know. Okay, what do we have here? As I thumbed through his phone, I muttered. I skipped reluctance and went straight to his messages. At first, nothing seemed strange, much to my amazement. However, I was aware that something was concealed. After that, I came upon a contact named Art. Do you take me for a fool, Theo? I knew that was Miss Clark's phone alias, of course. I wasn't that stupid. He might have chosen a name that was less clear, at least. When I opened their messages, what I saw broke my heart. They had gone on covert dates and were messaging one another for a while. I was shocked to learn that Theo had missiled me. It was devastating to hear their I love you exchanged. Even worse, I came across communications in which Theo disparaged me. My spouse is a loudmouth. She always acts like a child and nags at me. In reality, I don't like her. The only reason I got married to her was because she became pregnant with Terence. I wasn't sure at first that the baby belonged to me, but whatever. Actually, it was she that tempted me to come to college. I'm stuck with her dumb face now. Not even one thing can she perform correctly. She is rather forgetful and awkward. What did I do to merit this foolish woman? As I read those messages, my heart fell. That night, I sobbed myself to sleep. When morning dawned, I went about my daily business. My family and I had breakfast that I made. Upon Theo's descent from our bedroom, I found it impossible to meet his gaze. "Love, good morning. You look stunning today." I smiled briefly in return. How stupid I was. He was kind to me every day, acting as though he would never do anything wrong. However, underneath all of that admiration was a disloyal and inconsiderate spouse. They completed their breakfast, and I said goodbye to them. I planted a kiss on my husband's cheek and gave my son a forced forehead kiss. "Oh, your kisses light up my morning every single day." Untruths. All of his statements were false. I was completely duped. He misled me into believing he loved me while, in reality, he hated me. That morning, I gave my mother a call. "Mom, I think Theo is being unfaithful." "Oh my, that is a deplorable charge. Why do you think that, my love?" I observed him texting Terence's art instructor. He also made derogatory remarks about me. On the other end of the line, I could hear a utensil dropping. I could only picture my mother's expression. "I'm so sorry, my darling. How are things going for you? Please discuss this with your hubby." I was at my breaking point. I sobbed uncontrollably. Simply put, my mother was there, hearing what I had to say. "Mom, I played my role. Every day, I provided for him. I blessed him with a son. I offered my life to him. Why would he treat me like this? What went wrong, if anything?" "Calm down, my dear. It is not you who is at blame. You made every effort to maintain your partnership. Your spouse made the decision to cheat on you. Simply act morally. Face him and make sure he feels the consequences of his actions." I followed my mother's guidance. I had to question Theo about his affair. I knew I had to face him. I made the decision and went to get my son from school. Right after I got there, I ran into someone. "Oh, Mrs. Thompson, you're here." Her voice didn't seem apprehensive or shocked at seeing me. "Miss Clark, I'm come to get Terence. Do you think you've seen him?" I assume he's teasing. As the mother, you have a right to know where your son is. It seemed as though she was speaking to someone less than herself when she spoke. She turned to walk away from me, but I noticed her sly smile. I instantly took hold of her arm and gave her a direct look. "Miss Clark, you know what you're doing. My spouse and you are having an affair. Mrs. Thompson, you are really smart, I have to say. Theo had misjudged you. You're still stupid, though. If you think he loves you, you're correct, of course. He would never have discovered me if you weren't such a dominating person. You two presume that I won't do anything about this. I'll see to it that you two bear the consequences. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Thompson. Will you create a commotion in this very school? Not, I wager, not with young Terence's honor in jeopardy. He is an expert. Do you really want to ruin his chances for the future, only as a result of your illusions? Mom, you're here." My son went to me and yelled out to me. When he drew close, I immediately collected myself and gave him a hug. "Look, Mom, an invitation to the art exhibition at the school. I represent the class. Terence, wow, you'll undoubtedly make your parents proud of you." Miss Clark spoke out, giving me a sarcastic smirk. "Do not be alarmed, Mrs. Thompson. I'll look after him." She held back. "Of your son, of course." Inside, I was furious. I would have disciplined her if my kid hadn't been around. "Please come with me home." My kid and I departed. My spouse was still glued to his phone over supper. "Love, can you put down your phone?" "Yes, indeed. Apologies. Once more, what was that?" "We were discussing Terence's painting competition the next week. Will you be attending?" "Well, naturally enough. Indeed. Son, will Miss Clark be your coach?" I nearly choked on my dinner. Was it truly a question he needed to ask? "Yes, Father. She is a really gifted art instructor. She also mentioned that you should stop by our classroom to view my artwork." I took a brief sip of my water while my husband cleared his throat. The dining room was filled with uneasiness. "I'll definitely carry it out." "What about Mom? Did she request that she attend as well?" My husband's voice was rife with apprehension. "No, Papa. It was explicitly requested that you attend. However, I'm not sure why she didn't ask for her mother. My spouse was gazing with anxiety when I looked at him. I had the impulse to confront him about his affair that night. However, I was worried that he would either confess or deny it. I have something to tell you. What is it, my love? I stepped back as he grabbed for my face. I know about your affair. His gaze became wide. What? What do you mean? Theo, stop it. The SMS messages were visible to me, particularly the ones in which you made fun of me. You're disrespecting me, Terence's wife, while having an affair with his art instructor. My partner chuckled. It's true, Jenna, so I won't dispute it. You were foolish, stupid. I had no choice but to become enmeshed with you. Right in front of me, he yelled. I started crying. I adore you unconditionally. How was I to be harmed in this way by you? I have to find a method to end this awful life. I had to leave you behind. I am cursed to be alive because of you. I was forced to marry you by your mother, and ever since, I've been imprisoned in this horrible place. You did nothing but give birth to my son. I was shocked by his statements. Then you could have left me from the start instead of pretending you were happy with me. If only it were that simple. However, I've now met someone who actually makes me experience what love is like. Please, Theo, do not leave us. I knelt before him and pleaded. I was shoved to the ground by him. He trod on his wedding band after throwing it on the ground. Observe that. We are married to each other. It is malfunctioning. I was inconsolable. I was shocked to hear him say those things. When he left us that night, I started crying. I gave my mother a call right away. Mom, Theo left. Oh, Jenna, are you for real? What's up with you? How is my grandchild doing? My mother's worry was palpable on the other end of the call. Mom, he walked out on us. He's heading to his mistress, I know that. He said he just got married to me because he didn't love me. Now where is that bastard? He is a monster for treating you like way. Never pursue him once more. Come back and ask for forgiveness if he still has any conscience. If he is an absolute douche, then leave him be. That is not what you deserve. Never forget that you have a beautiful boy who will always be by your side, and that is sufficient. My mother's comments gave me solace. Theo never came back to our place for days. Mom, when is Daddy coming back? Love, he's going to return shortly. He's just got a lot of work to do. I was out of things to be sorry for. My kid questioned me about Theo every day. Since his departure, I had not heard from him. He left no money behind to help support our son. I could support my son on my own, though. Finally, the day of Terence's painting show came. I noticed Miss Clark approaching us as soon as we got to the location. This woman had remarkable chutzpah. Terence. She bowed to my son's level as she gave him a warm greeting. She put her hand in his, but my son dismissed her instantly. Terence launched himself at his pals. Miss Clark got to her feet, clearing her throat. She smirked as she met my gaze. It's nice to have you back, Mrs. Thompson. By which I mean Jenna. I believe I've replaced Mrs. Thompson. Call me, I answered. Miss Clark, I don't feel good seeing you either. She giggled. Avoid concern. You can continue to use that last name for the time being, but I'll soon take it from you. Terence will win today. I'm convinced of it. Since I've already won, enjoy your small party. Do you think it's appropriate to celebrate my husband's victory? Rethink your thoughts. Naturally, a person such as yourself would not value a man such as my partner, or even your ex-husband. She laughed and went with it. The contest had begun, and I wanted to hit her right then. Theo entered halfway through. He smiled back at Miss Clark, who had instantly given him a charming grin. What my son had painted piqued my interest. It was forbidden for us to view the artwork in advance. After the competition was over, the artworks and winners were unveiled. And the first place goes to Terence Thompson. The audience applauded. As he walked onto the stage, my kid grinned proudly. It was almost time to unveil his artwork. The audience hushed when the judge revealed the portrait. All eyes were fixed on Theo and Miss Clark. I gasped when I saw what my son had sketched. It showed Miss Clark and Theo holding hands in the background of the school. My youngster had witnessed them in action. Miss Clark hurriedly left the location. Theo expressed regret to everybody. I was consoled by several parents, but I hurried over to give my kid a hug. "Mommy, don't worry. He'll never harm us again. I swear." He then handed me a little canvas. It was a painting of my kid and I together, laughing and sobbing in our living room. "We're happy. Just the two of us," he said. I sobbed in his arms as I gave him a deep hug. Theo apologized and approached us. "Jenna, I truly apologize. I'll make things right. My kid, I really apologize. But I'd already made up my mind. Theo, it works better this way. My kid and I alone. You betrayed us both, and you won't be trusted again for a very long time. I am hurt by you, and that hurt won't go away quickly. You have to learn your lesson the hard way this time. We are heading out of your life." Terence and I went to our car before he could answer. Miss Clark was standing by the door. "What do you want?" She stooped to plead. "Mrs. Thompson, I really apologize. Please don't take any action. Before you destroyed our family, you ought to have given it some thought. You two are going to pay the price." There, we abandoned her. The scandal's word traveled swiftly. Theo was demoted and Miss Clark was sacked from the school. I persisted in pursuing legal action to make sure that my kid and I were compensated fairly.